Hello there, and welcome to the Brahma Kumari Center. I want to thank you for joining us today in the series Self-Care, Improving the Quality of Everyday Life. I hope you're all staying well and being safe. We do ask of two things in the session today. First, please do try to participate as much as possible because it's only to your benefit and you will retain as much more information. Second of all, to interact, please do use the chat box. If you cannot access the chat box, please log into your Gmail account, and from there you should be able to access it. So my name is Neha. I am 20 years old, and I am a youth at the Brahma Kumari Center. So the way we are going to improve the quality of everyday life is by integrating the virtue perseverance. Now, I want you to think, when's the last time you heard or used the word perseverance? Perseverance is a virtue that's honestly not used as often. You might have heard the words determination, resilience, or maybe even tenacity. Probably not perseverance though, and that might be because it's such a long word. But it's much deeper, and once you understand what it means and how to apply it, it can do wonders for you in your everyday life. A closer look at the virtue can reveal that its power affects every part of our life, the decisions we make, the actions that we follow through on, and perseverance can also affect the lives of others around us, both now and in eternity. It is your will to go, this might that you have, a mindset you create to achieve goals that can change the lives of others around you for causes that you are so firm in believing. Now, we are going to discuss this further on in today's session. But for now, let's start with the easiest, most simple question. What does perseverance mean to you? I'll give you a moment to think about it. So, perseverance means to stick with things. So once you make up your mind, you follow through with it. You don't hesitate, and there are no doubts. Doubt is a very big reason we are unable to follow through on things. We don't believe in ourselves, and we doubt that something bad will happen. So that's why we aren't able to follow through on tasks. But perseverance means to be hardworking and finishing what you started, despite barriers and obstacles that may come in the way. The pleasure received from completing tasks and projects is very important to those who are high in perseverance. Sometimes we must dig deep and muster the will to overcome thoughts of giving up. Perseverance involves organizing oneself to support activities. This means to make reasonable goals. We can only persevere when we make reasonable goals. And some ways we can do that is by scheduling breaks and sticking to them. You can't just work 24/7 and keep persevering because eventually you'll drain out of energy. So that's why we need to take some breaks and we need to make a realistic goal in a certain amount of time. Another way that can help us by persevering is rewarding in small ways along the way. So you must give yourself time and give yourself those breaks because you deserve it. Perseverance helps to further build confidence for future successes and goal accomplishment. Perseverance involves the voluntary continuation of a goal-directed action despite the presence of challenges that arise, difficulties that arise, or we might even get discouragement from other people. But no matter those, we still must persevere. Now, there are two vectors of perseverance. The first one is it requires the effort for a task. And the second one is to keep up the task, so the duration of the rest of the task. So for the first one, the effort for the task, for example, when you make up your mind, I'm going to study for this test, you must start. And we all know that starting is sometimes the hardest part of achieving something because we like to procrastinate. So to persevere, we must start the task. And then the second thing, to durate the task and to keep it going, we have to follow through with it. And we have to create a mindset that we can follow through with it. So making a study schedule can help. Or a schedule for whichever work or giving time to yourself. So organization can help us to persevere, as it is reasonable and we can allot time accordingly. So now I'm going to ask another question. How do you feel when you live a life full of perseverance? I can give you a minute to think about that. What virtues are associated with it? Determined. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, wholesome. Yes, we are going to further discuss that too. So you might feel motivated and determined, like you keep going for it. And once you start a task, you just want to keep going with it. You feel proud of yourself. And when you're proud of yourself, automatically the self-respect for you have for yourself goes up. You feel good about yourself and you are tenacious. And this helps give clarity in your life as you know the path you are on and where you are heading. When you have a goal and you keep going to it, then that gives you a reason to live. It gives you passion in life. So it gives clarity in your life ultimately. So many people do stress nowadays because they don't know where they're headed. They don't know their passions. They don't know their goals. And they just stop. They stop trying. So that's why perseverance is so important. You also feel healthy, not only in the body, but also in the mind. And you feel light because you won't say, I can't do it. I won't do it. You don't doubt yourself. And so you feel light and you radiate good vibes. Plus you have an ease of mind because you're not stressed or there's not negativity coming in. You feel self-fulfilled and wholesome as mentioned. It increases your overall energy, and throughout the day, you'll feel so much more productive. So when you go to bed, you'll actually feel good about your day and yourself. So think about it. Think about how you feel when you have a productive day and you persevere throughout the day. Now that we talked about how we feel when we persevere, I think we should also talk about how we feel if we do not live a life full of perseverance. So take a minute and just think of things or how you feel when you don't persevere. Yes, stressed is a good one. Lazy, yeah, that's a big one too. So if we don't live a life full of perseverance, we feel heaviness because we may have this regret inside of us that, oh, I could have done something, but I chose not to because I gave up so easily. So it's like this emotional thought that we keep having that just brings us down. You're unmotivated when you don't persevere, and this is associated with negativity and, as mentioned, laziness. And how all of these things, such as negativity, laziness, heaviness, they're all associated with being harmful to our body. Because of these negative thoughts and heaviness, we become stressed. And nowadays, stress is such a predominant form of like ways of living and lifestyles, but we need to change that. Because if we don't feel healthy, our body and our mind both go downwards, and stress can impact us at the physical level, the mental level, and the emotional level. Physical in the sense that we can get autoimmune diseases, emotional in that our mood swings are crazy and we don't feel happy, and mental in that our mind just can't focus and we divert our attention to so many things around us, but not those things that should really matter. So if we are not okay at the end of the day and we are not determined or keep giving up, it can even affect relationships because we can bring relationships down as we stop trying. We don't persevere in relationships. And if we're not okay, how can we make sure that others are okay? We will also be confused if we don't have perseverance in our life. And we have high expectations from others because we are empty in the inside and we're not content with how our life is going and how we're not getting fulfilled from our own life. And when we don't live a life of perseverance, we have self-doubt, which I mentioned, because self-doubt is you don't realize the capabilities that you have and the opportunities that you have. And when you have self-doubt and you can't follow through on things that you want to achieve, your self-respect can also be low because you don't think of yourself worthy enough and you don't have that self-esteem. So you live a life of fear and you don't try because you don't believe in yourself. And the first step in doing something is to believing in yourself. So if we can't believe in ourselves, if we don't have self-respect and we have fear and doubt, how are we supposed to go up? How are we supposed to climb and be that better version of ourselves? So this is why we need perseverance to improve the quality of our everyday life. So now I'd like to ask another question. Why do we need to persevere in life? So perseverance helps in building a strong character. It shapes us over time. And it also helps us to overcome difficulties. And we know how many difficulties and problems that arise in our day-to-day life. But the fact is that difficulties make us stronger and they shape us. And we should look at them as an opportunity. Perseverance also helps to stick to goals despite the difficulties that come with it. And it makes us a person strong in many aspects of life. It equips us with the knowledge and skill to overcome failures and reach a goal. The strong character that is developed with perseverance also allows people to grow because of patience. And patience is very important when it comes to perseverance because things won't come right away. You have to give it time. Without patience, people will easily give up, and therefore they will not be able to achieve their dreams. Failure is a result of easily giving up, giving in to distractions that prevent one from reaching their goals. Successful people also know that when they encounter failure, they need to try again and avoid giving up. So for example, all these innovations that we've created, such as like the fridge or cars or the light bulb, it didn't take one try. The people who invented these things had to try again and again, and they had to keep making their model better and better. So just like that, they persevered. And of course, they probably did face and encounter failure, but they didn't give up from that. They had patience and they knew. And from that, they had a stronger character. And through that, they built up their strength to avoid temptations. And it is only through strength and patience that one can tell the difference in knowing when to stop and when to continue trying. Perseverance is the ability to overcome failures and disappointment. It is knowing that even if you have failed the first time, you need to simply try again and again until you achieve what you want. For example, in trying to quit smoking, it is a bad habit, but with enough perseverance, even if you have failed before a couple times, you can do it. It's just that it takes a strong mindset and you just have to persevere and be determined through every thought. And perseverance is a very complex virtue. It's almost a gift, but we have to learn to cherish it. When it's authentic, when it comes from the heart, when we truly want to do something and we keep going at it, it feeds the tenacity and willpower felt in the face of challenges and obstacles. In order to maintain that iron will against problems, it's necessary to know what you want and where you want to go. And also, most importantly, why. So all these goals that you have to ask these questions to yourself. Where do I want to go? How long will it take me to get there? And why do I want to do what I do? And this is important because perseverance, it only happens when you sit with yourself and you can reflect. It's a process of reflection to know where you want to go in life and how you're going to work towards it. Those who think that great feats take shape from the very beginning are quite wrong. In general, everything begins with a small seed that you need to keep watering. This seed then grows and expands until it reaches a point where it can grow on its own and it undertakes its own path of growth. It is now just taking the effort to keep up the task. So, this legend of the boy and the starfish explains precisely and simply what perseverance is all about. So I'm going to read the story and think about the moral of the story at the end. So there once was a man who lived near the beach. Every day he would wake up and the first thing he would do was take a walk along the shore. On a day like any other, he was surprised by what he found on this particular morning's escape. There were dozens of starfish all over the beach. It was very strange. Maybe the bad weather or the November winds were responsible for this phenomenon. The man looked sadly at the situation. He knew that the starfish would not survive more than 5 days out of the water. all of these creatures would die shortly if they weren't already dead. As he walked among them, how sad, he thought. However, he couldn't think of an inspiring solution. Upon walking a bit further down the beach, he saw a boy who was running around in the sand. The boy seemed sweaty and distressed. "What are you doing?" the man asked the boy. "I'm returning all of the starfish to the ocean," the boy responded. He looked quite tired. The man thought for a moment. The task the boy was taking on seemed absurd to him. He couldn't help but speak his mind. "What you're doing is useless. I've been walking for quite a while and there are thousands of starfish. This makes no sense," he pointed out. The boy, who was holding a starfish in his hands, responded, "Hey, it sure makes sense to this one." So take a moment and reflect on this story and see how it incorporates perseverance. And I want you to think of the moral, the underlying theme of this story. And I'll give you a moment to think about it. Yes, perseverance can make a big change in someone else's life and your life, in fact. So, as of course it is a story of perseverance, it also shows that small actions can give great deeds, and how, of course, perseverance can affect others around us. So this inspiring legend of the boy and the starfish shows us the value of small actions and perseverance. Sometimes we don't see the value in the modest tasks we perform, and sometimes others don't even see the tasks that we perform, the modesty we have in them. This happens because we aren't focusing our behavior on the value of things. Instead, we focus on the result. It's as if we saw the world in terms of quantity and size, instead of meaning and essence. The boy was able to see the value in each life of a starfish, instead of seeing the man's view on clearing all the starfish, which seemed impossible to him. The boy was able to take the essence of one life of a starfish, and he was like, no matter how impossible it seems, I can do this. Every great deed begins with small actions. You can smile, hold the door open, and this small deed can make someone's day. In fact, beginnings do tend to be hard and costly. Hence, someone who has a hard time seeing the meaning of a flower will not be able to understand nature. That's why we must look at the essence and learn to appreciate the little things, and perseverance only comes when we have respect and value for ourselves and others, and of course the things surrounding us. Therefore, someone who dismisses the meaning of a small sacrifice will most likely not make an effort. The first big obstacles for big dreams are the little signs of skepticism from people around you. People around you might bring you down, and even though if you have a goal, people will not believe in you. But that's the biggest thing, you must believe in yourself. So that's why just how our perseverance can affect others' lives in a positive manner. We can persevere to make others' lives better. In the same way, others' negative doubts should not affect our perseverance. Sometimes other people prevent and hinder us from doing our best. But it is in knowing how to approach the situation that will allow us to persevere. That way, we can still keep our end goal in mind and have this positive mindset. The little boy was not affected by what the old man said, and he still had the spirit to help as many starfish reach the ocean. The little boy was to give meaning to the small, and it's an inspiring way of living if you think about it. Perseverance, above all, is a descendant of all virtues and values. You need to have resilience, and to have resilience means even if you're brought down, you still can get up. And we need resilience to resist the difficulties and setbacks that we may encounter. And honestly, they're always present. We will always receive setbacks, whether it's from some colleague or someone says something to us. We can't let this bring us down. The worst part is that often we let ourselves be invaded by a totalitarian thought. A thought which tells us that if you don't have everything, then you have nothing, and this is not the way we should think. In turn, this mental scheme is poisonous for our motivation, for us to keep going. It poisons us. So you have to tell yourself that even if I don't have everything, that I should not be set back, and I should not lose motivation and my self-respect. Instead, I should persevere to have those things that I aspire to want, instead of just being lazy or sitting back or not believing in yourself. So if you want to complain about, for example, how you can't lose weight, or you can't go to the gym, or you can't go to a diet, or instead of complaining, you just have to start today, start right now, and persevere to help and give your body cleanliness and clarity. You need to give the time to your body, the needs that it wants. So we must persevere and stick to our goals and see the value in the progress that we make. It takes time, but if you persevere, you can achieve anything you want. If you associate your big dreams and aspirations with human values, it will be much easier for you to find the strength that you need to move on. On the other hand, if you concentrate solely on immediate results, it's likely that frustration will become your shadow. Everything takes time, so you can't expect immediate results. Great buildings are built brick by brick, stone by stone. Everything takes time. Learning to ride a bike takes so long. I remember when I was little, it took me a couple months, and even though I fell, I knew that I'd get up and I know that I'd try again. Even understanding concepts for school are so difficult, and I feel many of you can agree that usually it doesn't take one time to understand something, but it takes practice and it needs time to learn stuff. Even scars take time to heal. So you just need time, and just be proud of yourself for taking the first step, and know that everything will work out if you just keep persevering. The inspiring legend of the boy and the starfish tell us that small actions do make sense and have meaning when you persevere. The truth is that it's worthwhile to start seeing life this way as well, just how the little boy saw the life of a starfish and saw how important the life, even no matter how small, how important it is to see life this way. So now, I'd like to give some examples. Perseverance is an important virtue in order to be successful in many aspects of our life. It is a quality that successful people all have in common, because in order to achieve goals and reach that final destination, we need to overcome obstacles and we have to try again and again. So I'd like to give the example of Mahatma Gandhi. Now, he was very inspirational in India, and his perseverance came from, he saw people suffering under British rule, and his motivation and determination and perseverance had come from seeing people suffering. So in that way, perseverance can help us to help others. So if we keep trying, and he kept trying, that way he was able to help millions around him, and he was able to create a change. Perseverance is not just in the attitude of a person, but a lot of it also is a mental attitude that requires determination and can be practiced in order to achieve success. Successful people like Gandhi achieve their full potential because of perseverance and hard work. Waking up in the morning and working hard and knowing where he wanted to be and how he wanted to see his country. They know and understand the effort must really be put so that they can triumph in any aspect they want. They know that success and victory do not come easily. It requires determination in order to prevent getting discouraged. And people will discourage, and probably Mahatma Gandhi was even discouraged along the way by many, but still, he kept his hopes high and he persevered. Perseverance entails practice, hard work, determination, optimism, commitment, and patience with oneself and others. It is a trait that all successful people share, part of their strong character, because perseverance is the one thing needed to attain success in many aspects of one's life, from sports to business to school to work, we all need perseverance in every part of our life. It is difficult not to be swayed by less important things and be distracted in the course of attaining goals. But it is exactly why perseverance helps in building the strong character and shaping us. It is not always easy. From simple tasks, we can be faced with many challenges that can prevent us from reaching our goals and dreams. It is the ability to know when to say no, and sometimes it's okay to say no, to overcome fear, and give 100% no matter what you are faced with. Another example of people who persevere are those in the Olympics. And as many of you know, the Olympics recently did happen in Tokyo. And we can see how these athletes persevered. They trained for 4 years just for this 2 week, and most of them just have like a 5-minute athlete sport. So they persevere for 4 years, their whole life. They change their diet, how many hours they sleep, and they physically are active the whole day, but they persevere through it all just for this one event. And we can see how hard they work. We see how their training shows. Now that's called dedication and determination to persevere for such a long time. But we should keep trying just as long as it is bettering ourselves and our mental health. However, sometimes we put this pressure on us that makes us feel we have to reach the standard. Sometimes others don't create the standard of ourselves, but we create the standard. And so we persevere way too much and we think too hard. And so sometimes we can't over push ourselves as well. We can't persevere way too hard to the part where it just affects our mental health. And a good example of this is Simone Biles. So as we know, she's a gymnast in the Olympics. And 4 years ago, she got gold, and so many people were proud of her, and she was expected to do so many great things. But this year, the pressure just got to her, and she persevered way too much, and I think she overpushed herself that she decided not to take parts in the Olympics. So actually, after one event that she did, which she didn't do that good as she wanted to, she dropped out, and she said that she told the media that her mental health does not have the capacity. So that's why it's okay if sometimes we can't overpush ourselves, and it's okay to say no, and it's okay to work on ourselves too. So you need a balance from perseverance and not over pushing yourself, to go for it, but not go to the extent where it doesn't help you and you don't feel beneficial. Another beautiful example for people who persevere the most are those people with physical disabilities. Now, there are people born with physical disabilities, and they still manage to achieve a level of success in their lives that many people cannot. They possess determination and manage to find ways to make use of what they have in order to become the people they are today. So, examples of successful people in various fields with physical disabilities are Helen Keller, Vincent van Gogh, and Stevie Wonder. Their strong character and perseverance has helped shape them and make them famous for their achievement and success stories. I remember one time in junior high, this guy named Alvin came to our school, and he didn't have hands, but he had feet, and all the tasks that a normal person could do in their day-to-day life, he did it too, but he just did it with his feet. And so he was able to play the drums with his feet. He was able to do so many things with his feet, and it just motivated and inspired everyone around us because we were able to see how he persevered, and he took these challenges and he overcome them, and he saw opportunities in the things he did have. Instead of seeing this as setbacks, they see it as opportunities and go on with their life and make the best of it. They persevere through the problems that their body cannot support them with, and we should learn from them. So now that we have seen examples of great perseverers such as Mahatma Gandhi, Simone Biles, and athletes, and those even with disabilities, it's time to test your perseverance quotient. So this is a little activity I'd like to do, and you can just do it. And so you have to give yourself 1 for each yes to the following, and you're going to add your yes score. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. If you do it, say yes to it. And of course, the higher or the more things you say yes to, the more higher your score is and the more perseverant you tend to be. So I'll start by asking the first one, and you could just keep track of your yeses and nos and add up your yeses at the end. So the first one, I believe in myself. The second one, I have clear goals in my life, whether those goals be for my career, whether those goals be for my mental health, whether those goals be for others. I have clear goals in my mind. The third one, I address my limitations. I know what my limit is, and I know when I need to stop. I don't make irrational goals. The fourth one, I bounce back from disappointment. I am resilient, in other words. The fifth one, I persist. I keep going, and I don't stop. The sixth one, my family and friends support me in my pursuit of goals. They encourage me. The seventh one, I can adapt to change, and I can see opportunity. The eighth one, I focus and I can complete projects. I don't leave things hanging, but I can achieve what I want to attain. The ninth one, my goals are consistent with my purpose and values. And the last one, 10th one, I can take unpopular stands when I believe I'm right. So in other words, if the crowd is saying yes to something, but I believe that what they're saying is everyone's just following the crowd, I can be the odd one out and stand for my beliefs and say no. So I can take unpopular stands when I believe I'm right. So just add up your yeses, and of course, the more yeses you have, if you have 10 yeses, that means you're really good at persevering. And if you're lower, of course, that's okay, because I hope that this session allows you and it helps you to realize what you need to do to work on it. And we all have things to work on. So stick with me, and we're going to talk still a little bit more about perseverance before I give you tips on how you can learn to be more perseverant in life. So perseverance also requires the ability and determination to adjust to things that come along the way, to adapt to circumstances and environments despite the difficulties that adapting may bring. Sometimes you can't change the situation, but you can change how you see it. Strong character and determination are also needed in order to successfully adapt to different circumstances. The ability to make the best out of what there is, despite the resources that you have. Perseverance also entails a lot of sacrifice, because success does not come easily, and it requires the patience to give up some less important thing to attain victory in more important areas. Successful people have fallen many times on the way to achieving their goal, but still have the ability to fight the obstacles, to do their best and keep trying, just like that boy was able to do on the beach. He was able to keep trying and to help as many starfish. Perseverance is working hard, no matter what you do, giving it your best shot all the time, and being able to maximize the use of minimal or limited resources and still achieve success. So ask yourself, do you want to be like the little boy who made a change in lives and persevered no matter the height of the challenge he was faced? Now, as we did one story, I'd like to talk about another story, and this makes us realize the importance of dreams and priorities, all of which help to start persevering. We first need to create these goals and these dreams we have, and then when we have attainable dreams and goals, from there, then we can start persevering. So the first step is to make goals. But this is the story of the horse trainer. So, as he was a kid, his father, as a horse trainer, was moving from stable to stable, from ranch to ranch, training horses. Thus, the boy's school career was constantly interrupted. One day, when he was a senior, the teacher asked him to write about what he wanted to do when he grew up. He did not hesitate a minute and wrote a 7-page paper about his aim to be an owner of a horse ranch. He wrote many details and drew the location of buildings and stables and even a detailed house plan. 2 days later, he received his paper back with the letter F on the front page. After class, he came to the teacher and asked, "Why did I receive an F?" The teacher responded, "The dream is so unrealistic for a boy like you, who has no money, no resources, and who comes from a family. There is no possibility that you will reach your great goals one day." Then the teacher offered to rewrite the paper with a more realistic attitude. The boy went home and asked his father how he should act. The father answered, "This decision is very important for you, so you have to make your own mind on this." After several days, the boy brought the same paper to his teacher. No changes were made. He kept the same paper he wrote initially that he got an F on. He said, "Keep the F and I will keep my dream." Now, Monty Roberts owns a 4,000 square foot house in the middle of a 200-acre horse ranch, and he still has that school paper, which is now framed over the fireplace. Remember, you have to follow your heart. That's the moral of the story. And you have to move on with perseverance and persistence. Even if the teacher didn't believe in him, even if she didn't support and encourage him, and we know that perseverance often does come through support and encouragement from those around us, the boy was still able to attain his dreams, and he was able to figure out what he wanted to do, and that was to own a ranch when he grew older, and he did. And he never let anyone take his dreams away, and that's what we have to learn, that once we have something created in our mind, we have to follow through with it, and we can do it once we set our mind to it. So now I'd like to give 9 tips for how you can live a life full of perseverance. The first thing that you can do is to clarify your goal so it can clarify your life. And by clarify, I mean like retweaking it and coming up with the best, most attainable. It can't be over the stars goal. It has to be something that's reasonable as well. So base it on your purpose of life, your needs and the abilities. We each possess special qualities, and we can use these qualities that each of us have to reach your goal. You need to know why you want this goal and how you and others will benefit. Not every time our goal should be about ourselves, but it should include others around us, and we should do good for others. The second thing we need to do is to intend to achieve our goal. We need to create this mindset that we need to achieve the goal. And we can do this by outlining our goal, repeating our goal to ourselves, strategies that we have and we can figure out. And we need to make a realistic timeline when we should reach this goal or achieve this goal. It can't be too long, but yet it can't be too short. So you need to find a good time frame for what you want to achieve and how you will achieve it. You need to know the resources that can help you attain it, including individuals, and sometimes the internet might help too with achieving those goals. You need to break those goals into small steps. Working backwards sometimes, not forwards, can help. And from there, you can get your desired outcome and you can get your attainment date, so your timeline basically. You also need to maintain your optimism. Nowadays, there's so much negativity, and of course, there will be a problem, and we can't let that affect us. So we have to be positive, and we have to create this energy around us. We have to expect good things, and we have to keep a daily diary of good experiences. So when you ever feel down, you can go to your diary, and you can look at all the positive stuff, and you can just feel so much better about your day and how your day is going. We can even manifest our thoughts. So if you want something, you can manifest it and you will get it. It's all about thinking positive and this energy that we can create around us that can actually come to real life. Now, the fourth one is to live in the present. Don't live for the past or don't live for the future. See, we can't dwell on the past. We can't worry about what might happen either. If we live in the past, we get so much negativity and we can't move forward. And if we live for the future, it's fear. We live because of fear for the future. So we need to let go of all these attachments. The more attached you are to something, the greater you have the greater the fear is of losing it. So we can't have attachments. And this is where doubt can come. When we have attachments and when we hold on to things too closely and too valuably, we need to learn to let go of things. And this can allow us to live in the present and to persevere through things. The fifth thing is to acknowledge your accomplishments. Now, it's good to be humble, of course, but it's sometimes good to realize how far you've come and realize what you have achieved in your life, whether it be trophies, medals, those materialistic things, or even other things is like helping others. Those are great accomplishments, even more. You have to judge these against personal standards of self-improvement. You have to have the courage of your convictions. Don't change for others, but change for yourself. And don't compare yourself with others because it only brings your self-respect down. So you need to have your own self-respect so that you can persevere. The sixth thing is to try new experiences. It's great to try new things, and you can learn so much, and you can really clearly see what you like and what you don't like. You have to experiment with new ways of improving a product or service at work or other activities. It's always refining stuff and retweaking stuff to make it the best possible product or experience. You have to investigate how successful individuals or teams have achieved similar goals. So you have to see the opportunity, and to see the opportunity, it's like basically you have to put this new lens on your eyes and a new pair of glasses, if you will, and then you can see the life in a different perspective and different viewpoint so that you can try other things. Now, the seventh tip is to care for your mind, to care for your body, to care for your emotions, and even care for your spirit. We have to give ourselves time, and we do have to nurture it and be kind with ourselves. We have to schedule quiet times to think and reassess. If we feel too overburdened at a time, or just too much is rushing in, too many thoughts are coming in, we just need to take a break and we have to pause for a second. And that's something that we can do to care for ourselves, and we have to respect ourselves. So we can also practice stress relievers such as deep breathing, and exercising is also a great stress reliever. In addition, you have to get sufficient sleep. I know a lot of us nowadays don't get enough sleep, whether it be we can't fall asleep or we keep getting up, but we have to try the best to get sufficient sleep, because once you sleep, you feel energized and you feel more productive. And when you're more productive, so many more things can get done. We also have to work on eating healthy, right? We have to see what we put in our body so that our body can function the best. And we have to take some time for ourselves and have a bit of fun too, whether that be spending time in nature. And I think that's great here because we live in Calgary and Banff is so near, and that's why the nature is so fulfilling and helping and healing. The eighth thing is to experience yourself living your goal today. And today is right now, not past, not future. You have to hold your desired outcome firmly in your mind, right? We can envision. We need to see, smell, touch, and hear aspects of our goal. We need to envision our goal so we can see where we want to go and how we can get there. Each morning upon rising, review your goal. So every morning when you wake up, it's great to revise your goal and read it so you know what your purpose is for the day. And you should repeat the process this night as well, because 2 times in a day is better than 1. So it just becomes a habit and you can clearly see the vision of where you want to go. And lastly, we must persist. You should focus on goals daily, at regular intervals. Ask yourself whether your activities are moving you forward or setting you back. So this fine-tunement again, and always having self-talks and reflections are really important to persist and persevere. Now, a quote I have is, "Life is not easy for any of us." But what of that? We must have perseverance and above all, confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained, what we want. Perseverance is the will to see things through until the end, in spite of fear that we have, obstacles that arise, discouragement that we will get from other people, and opposition, so conflicting views. With perseverance, we can accomplish great things, and we can start today. Now, I want you to sit with yourself and just reflect on all the things you have. And remember that just because I don't have everything does not mean that you don't have anything. And you need to give yourself the peacefulness you deserve. After all, this life is beautiful. We just have to open our eyes and really look. Thank you. I really hope you took at least one point away with you in today's session. And feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat box. If there are no questions, there is a whole series of self-care on the BK Calgary YouTube, which I would highly recommend watching. In addition, you can also check out our website on Raj Yoga, which is our foundation, and it's a course that will really give you insight and meaning. So I do recommend that as well. And now we are going to take 2 minutes to reflect and sit in silence. So thank you and take care, and we will see you next time.